What really happened to Becca? Why did Daisy return to Gilead? And could Season 2 finally bring down Gilead? What would you do if the monster everyone feared was your own father? What would happen if a frightened teenage girl finally stopped being afraid? Why did Daisy risk everything to return to Gilead when freedom was finally within her reach? And now that Agnes knows the truth about her mother, June Osborne, could Season 2 become the beginning of the end for Gilead itself? These are the questions left hanging over the Testaments after its explosive final 2 episodes. Episodes 9 and 10 weren't just a dramatic ending to the first season. They were a warning. A warning that the girls of Gilead are no longer willing to stay silent. A warning that Aunt Lydia may be changing sides. And a warning that the next generation of rebels is finally rising. The story begins with blood. Not the kind Gilead pretends doesn't exist. Real blood. Fresh blood. The kind that stains the ground and refuses to be washed away. As the Pearl Girls scrub crimson stains from the floor, trying to erase the evidence of violence, something else is happening beneath the surface. A rebellion is quietly beginning. Daisy can feel it. After everything she has witnessed, her anger is no longer something she can suppress. Every injustice, every lie, every girl abandoned by the system has pushed her closer to a breaking point. And now she has a plan. A dangerous plan. A reckless plan. A plan that could expose one of Gilead's most respected men. Or get her killed. The target is Dr. Grove. To the outside world, Grove is respected, trusted, untouchable. But behind closed doors, dark rumors have followed him for years. Rumors nobody wanted to investigate. Rumors nobody dared speak aloud. Until Daisy. Determined to force the truth into the open, Daisy creates a scandal that sends shockwaves through the school. Suddenly, the whispers become accusations, and the secret everyone knew but nobody acknowledged is impossible to ignore. Even Aunt Lydia understands what Daisy is doing. She knows Daisy is taking a huge risk. Yet for once, Lydia chooses not to stop her. Because deep down, even Lydia knows that some monsters deserve to be exposed. But while Daisy fights from the outside, another battle is raging inside Becka. For years she has lived with fear. For years she has suffered in silence. For years she has waited for someone to save her. No one comes. And eventually something inside her snaps. That night changes everything. When Becka walks into the bathroom carrying a knife, she is still a victim. When she walks out, she has become the person who ended her nightmare. The scene is shocking. Not because it happens. Because part of us knew it eventually would. Years of pain, humiliation, and abuse finally explode in one irreversible act. Covered in blood, Becka runs through the darkness searching for the only person she trusts, Agnes. And from that moment forward, the fate of every major character begins to change. The eyes arrive. Becka is arrested. And Gilead prepares to make an example of her. But what follows in episode 10 proves that something fundamental is changing inside this brutal society. For the first time, the girls fight back together. Agnes refuses to stay silent. Daisy refuses to walk away. Shu, Hulda, and the others refuse to abandon their friend. And Aunt Lydia begins making decisions that seem less loyal to Gilead and more loyal to justice. The turning point comes when Agnes finally reveals her own secret. She confesses that she too was one of Dr. Grove's victims. Suddenly, Becka is no longer viewed as a criminal. She's seen as what she truly is, a survivor. The revelation changes everything. Even powerful men who once ignored the situation can no longer pretend nothing happened. Yet saving Becka comes at a terrible price. A price paid by her mother. In one of the most heartbreaking moments of the season, Becca's mother sacrifices herself so her daughter can live. She takes responsibility. She accepts execution. And she walks toward death knowing her daughter will survive. It is a devastating reminder that in the world of the Testaments, mothers continue carrying the heaviest burdens. But perhaps the biggest shock arrives elsewhere. Daisy escapes Gilead. She finally reaches safety. She finally meets June, the legendary rebel. The woman Gilead fears. The woman who never stopped fighting. Yet instead of staying free, Daisy makes a decision that changes everything. She goes back. Not because she has to, because she chooses to. Because Agnes is still trapped. Because Becca still needs help. Because some battles are too important to abandon. And that decision may become the foundation of Season 2. Because now everything is different. Agnes knows June is her mother. June knows Agnes is alive. Daisy has fully committed herself to the resistance. Aunt Lydia appears more conflicted than ever. And Gilead itself is beginning to show cracks. Which brings us to the biggest question of all. What happens next? Will Agnes finally reunite with June? Can Daisy continue operating inside Gilead without being exposed? Will Aunt Lydia openly rebel against the regime she helped build? And after everything Becca has suffered, can she ever truly heal? Season 1 ended with sacrifice, with heartbreak, with courage, but it also ended with hope. And hope is something Gilead fears more than anything. Because once people stop being afraid, control becomes impossible. The most powerful moment of the finale isn't an execution. It isn't an arrest. It isn't even a shocking revelation. It's the realization that these girls are no longer waiting for someone else to save them. They're preparing to save themselves. And if that's the direction Season 2 is heading, Gilead should be terrified. Because there is nothing more dangerous than a generation that has finally found its voice.